You're muted, Jordan. You're muted.
We're just going to use, how about now?
Yeah, you're good.
Cool. All right. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Cash Physical Therapy Headquarters podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about pressure. Something that I've noticed over the last couple weeks is a lot of people are in transitional phases within their businesses, within their lives, and stakes seem to be higher than ever. And with government lockdowns, with industries changing faster than they've ever changed before because of AI, there's this sense of almost existential crisis happening for a lot of entrepreneurs or people who are working for small businesses, wondering, is this going to provide me everything that I need to be able to get ahead? Do I need to start a business? And overall, people are feeling more pressure than they've ever felt before. Would you agree with that, Ben?
Yeah, no, for sure. We're all seeing some interesting buying behavior. One of the biggest things that we can tell from buying behavior is our website opt-ins and opt-in rate. And we've been tracking that opt-in rate for over 5 years now. And it's always whenever something's going on major with the world, the conversion rate of the website tanks for like a week. And then it bounces back when things start going back to normal. But we're noticing that over the last like 14 days, it's one of the worst like 14-day stretch that we've seen from a website conversion standpoint. We haven't changed anything with the website. I should preface with that. So all things remain the same. We're just seeing that buying behavior is drastically different. And I think people's worry about, loss of jobs due to AI. I saw that there's a job report that came out about how many jobs were cut due to AI recently in the last month. Then you also have the government shutdown, and you got holidays coming up as well. People are freaking out about being able to pay for gifts, stuff like that. So I think there's a lot more pressure in the world going on right now, and people are feeling it, and we're definitely seeing it from a statistical standpoint.
Right. And so I wanted to talk about pressure here today because it's something that no matter what level you're at, whether you're like Ben and or a clinical marketer where you're doing, $200,000 plus a month, or if you're a brand new business and you're doing less than $10,000 a month, that pressure is constant and it never goes away. It changes form, it changes intensity, it changes duration, like how long you have to sit within that pressure. And so I want to talk about this today because I think it's going to be really timely for a lot of you who are really worried about the future and trying to hit your Q4 goals on your 2025 goals. And maybe you came up a little bit short and now you're pushing yourself and questioning if you really have what it takes. Because sometimes when you set the bar so high for yourself, it feels like failure. And so I want to talk about that and reframe that a little bit here today, because my journey, Ben's journey, everyone's journey is never a straight line. It is riddled with feast or famine moments, with what me and some other, entrepreneur friends call the no man's land, where you want to give up. You're tempted to give up. You're wondering, is this all really worth it? Can I actually do this? Like, you start to have that imposter syndrome start to trickle in, and you wonder if we can actually pull this off. And so I want to remind everybody that life isn't supposed to be perfect. Being an entrepreneur is supposed to be really, really challenging. That's why it's the best game in the world. And if we didn't have that pressure, if we didn't have these setbacks, if we didn't have these obstacles, well, then we would never actually change. We would never turn into the version of ourselves that we need to be to not only have a business, but also to be someone that we admire. Because anyone, and if you look back to any of your heroes, anyone that you admire, it's not because of what they've accomplished. It's because of the challenges that we know they had to overcome to achieve the success that they have. That's what makes them relatable. So it makes them, their lifestyle so desirable, because it shows us that we too can overcome all of those challenges. So first thing I want to remind everyone is that anything you might be going through right now, whether it's a challenging leg within your business, whether it's in your family, within your relationships, within home projects, your investments, whatever it is, whatever challenge you're facing, it's something that's absolutely for you. Ben, can you think of like a hero of yours or someone that you greatly look up to, that has gone through like a challenging time, or something within your own life that you kind of align with?
Yeah, for sure. My dad, first and foremost, he was the oldest of 7 kids, and his dad passed away when he was only 17, and so he's the
Mm,
oldest of all of them, and was pretty much had to be the man of the house
yeah,
now, and had to take over. We had a farm at the time: cattle, hogs, corn, beans. It was also a really rough time for the corn, like the farm industry too. Prices weren't great, and his mom he had to take care of all of his siblings. At the age of 17, he had to take over the farm. He had all these aspirations to go to Iowa State and go. I want to become an engineer and stuff like that. And he scrapped all that, took over the farm at the age of 17, and made it work and took care of his entire family. Like that's tough. It doesn't really get much tougher than that. He was able to overcome that and grew a really successful farming business and expanded it into much more than what it was.
mm,
Really successful in that standpoint. So those stakes are pretty high. Also, when you're trying to deal with grief of, you know,
mm.
you're losing your dad, and then on top of that, having to, go through all that. I can only imagine how tough that was, but got through it and was better because of it.
Yep. My dad, very similar story, actually. So shout out to the dads that are out there, that maybe that's you right now, where you didn't get dealt an easy hand in life. And now you're faced with the opportunity, the challenge of having to dig your way out of a difficult situation, to play the cards you were dealt and turn it into a win, where you can set up your family and their children and their children's children for success long term. And so there's a video that actually kind of put me down this path this week. Have you ever seen it was an interview with Ice Cube, around entrepreneurship, and like building the life you want to have with yourself. And he said something like, he's like, if you're not willing to work like a dog, grind for 5 years without getting paid jack, then you might as well not even start. Now, normally it doesn't take 5 years, but I think what he's highlighting in that video is like, most of us aren't even close to having the skill sets, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the resilience that is required to actually achieve our dreams. And so it doesn't always take 5 years. Sometimes it takes 1, 2, 3 years to get punched in the mouth over and over and over again until you learn how to bob, weave, and hit back. And for those of you who are newer to entrepreneurship and newer to the practice ownership, just know that the challenges that you're facing right now, the pain that you're realizing, like, man, this is really, really hard. Like, that is exactly how it's supposed to be. And that's not because you're not good enough. It's not because you don't have what it takes. That is the blessings that are being passed to you to give you gentle nudges towards an easier, better life. So it's almost like a paradox where it's like, the harder your life is, the harder the circumstances you put yourselves in, the more pressure you have. Paradoxically, as long as you can stay in that pressure, as long as you can remain resilient and go after attack the challenges that are in front of you, it always leads to an easier life, right?
Yeah, there's what is that cyclical? It's hard times. What's it? Weak men create hard times create great men create great times create weak men. And it's just this cycle, right? And it comes back to pressure too. When things are going super great, you start getting soft, you start kind of letting your guard down, and then
Mm,
things don't go as well, but also hard times really sharpen you and make you into a greater, better person.
right. Right. There's that reminded me of something from Meditations, Marcus Aurelius. Have you ever actually like read Meditations?
Yeah, very good. Very good.
There's I used to have quotes just written in marker hung all over my wall until I realized how tacky it looked in all of my videos. But there is one that I hung up right above my bed. It was an incredible one about hold on, let me read this. I'm gonna pull it up real quick. Um,
I'm guessing it's the one about the how lucky we are to have the work that we have, and
right, it's basically around along the lines um, of like our lives aren't meant to be easy. They're meant to be hard. You want a challenging life because that's the key to creating, not only becoming the best that you can be. Is my connection really bad right now?
I can still hear you auto-wise. Yeah.
Okay, let me close some of these windows. Building on a new course right now, so I got a million tabs open. Oh, and my computer does not love all of it. It's probably because I'm using the new ChatGPT Atlas search engine instead of Google.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Anyway, not going to go into that. But it's like we shouldn't want an easy life. So here's a quote. I wrote this entire thing up and I hung it above my ceiling where I slept. And it says, at dawn, when you're having trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work. As a human being, what do I have to complain of? If I'm going to do what I was born for, the things I was brought into the world to do, or is this what I was created for? To huddle under the blankets and stay warm. And he went on to say in that quote where it's like, no, I'm meant to work hard. An ant doesn't complain about having to wake up and move like 100 times its body weight in sand, building their like ant hive. I don't know what they call it. Bees don't complain about having to go out and get nectar and to make honey. No, they're meant to work. They're meant to make the world a better place around them for the survival of the unit that they're a part of. And so I think that's so wise. And so for many of you, you're thinking about quitting because there's an easier path that's out there that might be easier in the short term, but it is not easier in the long term. So we all get to choose our hard. And so if you don't choose the hard that's you're facing with right now, just realize it's like that's the hard that you get to choose. If you don't choose to go through that pain and go through that obstacle, well, then the challenges and the pains that you are going to have to face in life, well, then those get chosen for you. And you still have to go through them. There's yin and yang to every single thing in life. Even those who are at the very top, the most successful people you can think of, they all have this downside that puts everyone on the same kind of playing field. In my opinion, I've met so many super successful people who all have something. Everyone has something that completely like balances them out, that makes their life not necessarily better than like other people's. It's how we choose which obstacles it's how we approach and respond to pressure that ultimately determines how good our life is actually going to be. Do you remember the Marcus Aurelius quote where it was like the obstacle is the way? You remember that one? What does that one mean? And can you give us like a story?
Yeah.
When you had to go after right now, what you're dealing with right now?
Yeah, it's more so just like to become the person that you want to be. You have to go through these obstacles. Otherwise, getting to the destination that you want to get to wouldn't be worth it. Like it wouldn't feel like it wouldn't feel that great because there's no struggle with it. And so it's important to go through these struggles because it makes you who you are, and it makes you a better person because of it by getting through it, and it's more rewarding as well. So
right. And I used to have a coin that I actually got from I got it as a gift from Jenna because I was obsessed with Steve Larson from what was his podcast? Like Sales Funnel Radio or something like that. But he also had this coin, and it was this quote. It was from Marcus Aurelius: "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." And it's basically, in layman's terms, The key to getting what it is you want is in the things that you're avoiding or don't want to do. It's the obstacle that you're refusing to tackle because there is a easier obstacle that you're more comfortable with choosing, but you never actually get to the other side of where it is you're trying to go. It's like it reminds me of another. We're just dropping quotes today. From our recent scaling workshop, one of the things that we were talking about was that. And I'm gonna lose it. It's we are not kept from our goals by obstacles, but by clear paths to lesser goals. And so many of you right now, you're being faced with this challenging time in your life. And because you have this need to feel like you're in control, instead of going after the unknown, where you don't exactly know what the answer is, you don't exactly know what the outcome is going to be in attacking that challenge. Instead, you take the easier obstacle. You take the lesser goal because there's a clearer path of certainty of it being successful. And a lot of you are stuck in the circle of avoiding going against the hard, instead of going into the hard path, you're going into the easy path, and you might be knocking those goals off. But at the end of the year, you're realizing that I'm no further or no closer to the goal that I actually wanted to attain, because we're choosing the easier paths rather than allowing ourselves to be forged by the uncertainty and the unknown and attacking the problems that are right in front of us and embracing them and getting excited about who you're going to become by attacking that challenge.
Interesting. That's really cool.
Right? Do you ever do you know like the difference between how cows and buffalo handle massive storms in the wild?
Was I think the buffalo go towards it because they know they get it through it quicker.
Opposite.
The buffalo go through it, don't they? Yeah,
yep.
The buffalo go through
right.
it. The cows don't. The buffalo go through
right. The cows, they see the huge storm and they're like, "Oh my God, F that," and then they walk against, or they go away from the storm, not realizing the storm is coming towards them. And so they end up being caught in the storm way longer than the buffalo, because the buffalo are like, huge storm coming, and they go straight into it. And because of that, they get out of it so much faster. And so many of you, you're giving up on yourselves. You're starting to doubt if you have what it takes. You're wondering, how much longer can I endure this? Because you're not going into the storm. You're resisting the challenges that the universe, that God are putting in front of you, that are actually gifts to get you exactly what it is that you want, because you're choosing the clearer path rather than going into uncertainty. Do you ever watch the show The Bear? I'm going to show you a quote that keeps popping up on my feed. Let me know if you can actually hear this. Otherwise, what's the point? Allow. Let's share this. Can you see my screen? Yep. Cool. I'll make this big. Let's see if I can center this a little bit better. Okay. All right. Let me know if you can hear this.
I can't hear it.
Did you say you can or can't?
No.
Boo. Hold on. Let me try one thing, because I think this is really, really powerful here. Let's try. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Let me try this again. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Cool.
I can't hear the video.
It cut out again?
Well, the video, I can't see it. I can't hear the video that's being played.
Oh, you can hear me, but not the video. I wonder if there's a way to, hold on, let me see if I can stop screen share. Also share tab audio. Let's try that. I think I nailed it now.
Basically, I'd nail it, right? Didn't matter what it was. The second it was when I was Carmi Sue, I'd have to see a Wagyu for him.
Oh, shit.
It was the worst. And whenever I practice at home with like different proteins or whatever I get my hands on, basically, I'd nail it, right? Didn't matter what it was. The second it was Wagyu, and it was in a place like this.
It's like,
Pressure.
right. How do you get rid of it?
I think you get to a point where you don't want to. Like at first the pressure sucks, right? It's the pressure that makes you feel shitty at what you do. And actually that's just the pressure getting in the way. You learn to live with it. And then next thing you know, you thrive on it. And before you know it, you can't fucking wait to get rocked. Like you want that pressure, you need that pressure to be able to perform. So then the challenge actually becomes, can you live without that pressure?
I love that. And I think it's the thing that a lot of people don't realize, and they give up on themselves so much sooner because their relationship with that pressure and their relationship with their failure is misplaced. It's like at first you have all this pressure and you beat yourself up with it and you think you're not enough and you're miserable because you're resisting it. But the more you lean into it, the more you stack up evidence that you can survive, that's when you start to realize that pressure is there, that's for you. And it's what creates your best work. It's what creates the most transformative stuff within your business and within your life, because you learn how to handle it. And you know, some people like see our clients and they're like, yeah, of course they were successful. But they don't realize it's like their confidence and their belief in themselves isn't something that they were born with. It's something that they've acquired after proving to themselves over and over and over again that no matter how hard it gets, they're going to get to the other side of that storm. And that's where you start to get comfortable in the uncertainty, because you've stacked up enough evidence that even though it seems that everything is going to crash and burn and it's on fire and you're not going to make it, you realize that it's like, as long as you don't stop, you're going to get to the other side. And if you do that enough times, you start to love that pressure because it builds armor around you. It calluses your mind as who's the crazy Navy SEAL guy again? Goggins.
Yeah.
You start to love it. And I don't know about you, Ben, but like for me, I love the pressure now. It's exciting for me now.
Yep. Yeah. And I think it's go back. I wanted to touch base on something that I think is important too, is you talked about always proving to yourself that of who you are. So, you know, if you hit another tough time, you are able to reflect on it. I think this is why it's so important, especially as PTs, you know, PTs and healthcare professionals. Exercise. Show up every single day every single week. Show up for yourself in the way that you know that you can. If you do that, then that's part of the building blocks, and that's why I think it's so important that I see so many entrepreneurs that lose that piece when they're starting their business, that they let their sleep go, they let their health go, they let their workouts go, and they just think, oh, that's because that's just what it takes to be an entrepreneur. No, it doesn't. That's not what it takes. You need to start getting undeniable proof of who you actually say you are. And part of that is very simple, just a very simple stepping stone of just consistent workouts.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that is the most essential piece to, like, if I don't work out, I am noticeably more blunt, definitely more stressed. And like Max will tell me, he's like, dude, have you not been working out? Like, you need to go to the gym because you're unbearable right now. But one thing I heard Hermosi say this on a podcast recently, where it was talking about discipline. And he said that actually going to the gym, that has nothing to do with discipline, especially for like PTs or you and me, because we love going to the gym. That doesn't require any discipline if you love it. Like, discipline is like how long you can do something you don't want to do for. So it's like, I think like finding the time to force yourself into going to the gym is essential to have yourself the clarity and like the micro wins to be able to get through the day. I think it's essential. But then I think the other side of it is that a lot of you listening need to realize that you might live a really healthy, structured day that unhealthy people look at is like, wow, how do you like get yourself to do that every single day? And you might trick yourself into believing that you're actually disciplined. But at the end of the day, that's the stuff that you love. And some of you might need to look in the mirror and realize that you're not as disciplined as you think you are, because all the things that you don't want to do those are the things that you need to do in order to build discipline. And without that discipline of doing things you don't want to do for an extended period of time, you're never going to have the success that you actually want to have.
Right. Yeah.
What do you hate doing, Ben, that you're kind of like trying to lean into?
Laundry. No, I'm just kidding.
That's good. Like making your bed and cleaning. That's a huge one for me.
Yeah. Honestly, like just becoming better at having hard conversations. Like that's the main thing that I honestly hate doing. It's just like, especially like underperforming employees, like that's the one that sucks the most. It's just like, how do I make you feel heard and listened to, and figure out that like how to help you, but also help you realize that it's also a you issue too that you need help with, right?
Yeah.
So it's that's what I really struggle with, is the hard conversations with underperforming people, mainly because like I just don't relate to them.
Yeah.
And it's really hard for me to, one, I have to relate, and then two, I have to have sympathy. Yeah. And it's hard for me to have sympathy for people that are underperforming. And so it's something that just doesn't come very natural to me. And so it's something I honestly, that's the number one thing that I despise more than anything.
Yeah. People that just aren't interested in reaching their potential. Yeah. I don't really get that either.
What's yours?
I'm actually dealing with the exact same thing. Like I've always practiced extreme ownership over everything. And naturally, like I want to help everybody to a fault, which is bad, because if you're helping everybody, you can't help anybody very well. But I'm realizing that there's actual limits to extreme ownership with, employees, with people in your lives, where anything that they're underperforming at, or if they're not doing what is necessary to succeed in that role, my first impulse is like, no, it's not their fault, it's mine. I'm not creating the environment for them to be successful, to do what is necessary for them to succeed. And I've leaned hard into that and realized it's like, oh my gosh, no matter how much you bend or provide people with the resources and the structure for them to be successful, some people just don't want to. And that's something I'm just realizing for the first time. And I'm also realizing that I've used extreme ownership as a cover up for fear of like having those difficult conversations, where it's like, I would much rather blame myself because that's familiar to me, and build better systems familiar to me, than to have those like difficult conversations and to let people go that I actually like. And that's something looking back over the last like 6 years, 10 years since the first company I ever started, it was like, that is a very common thing where I allow people to stick around in my life probably longer than they should. Yeah. That's a hard one. That's a really hard one.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we need to find, I think we're extreme on the polar opposites of it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I'm too like, I give too many chances and maybe you don't give enough.
I give people like chances like that. I do give people probably too many chances. That's not, it's more so like I think you do a good job of like understanding like what can I do differently on it, versus I just feel like I'm doing everything that I can, and ball's in your court, so do it.
Yeah.
So it's fine the balance with it.
But I think that's the ceiling that we're reaching in our businesses that are at, pretty similar stages, where we're trying to push to those, 500 and 7-figure months. And the skill set required to get to that level is very, very different. You have to have absolute killers on your team. Like I heard Mark Zuckerberg, he was talking about like his hiring approach. And he said that if the roles were reversed and this person was interviewing you for a job at their company. If you wouldn't join their company and work for them, you shouldn't hire them. I thought that was really interesting. And at the level that we're at, it's like, that is what's required. We need world-class talent, because what got you to a 7-figure company is not going to get you to an 8-figure company. And having those hard conversations where it's like, you got to let go of good people that you like that may have got you here in order to get where you're really trying to go. Now, there's no one on, if anyone on clinical marketers teams listening to this, no one's in trouble, but I'm just saying, like, in order to get to that next level, like, there is a different level of skill set and intensity that is required in order to get there, to sustain the like culture that's required to get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's just the next no man's land to get from 7 figures to 8.
Yeah.
Being
it's just
more
different.
Right. More of a savage on it. Have you ever listened to Alan Watts?
Oh.
So Alan Watts is he's a Zen philosopher. And not too long ago, I was going through a really challenging time. It's like, company's doing good, relationships good, but for some reason I was just like miserable, because nothing's ever like good enough. Like, every goal that we've set, we've hit, but the goalpost keeps moving, and I just never felt like I had control, and I was constantly just afraid of falling back down to where I started. And that fear was like crippling. Like, I couldn't enjoy anything. And every setback I felt like was happening to me. And like, I had to like immediately go to action to like put out all these fires, or I was going to fall back to like where I started when didn't have any money. And then a buddy of mine, also going through a hard time, he sent me this video it was just insanely well timed. I shared it with the team, and a lot of the team got back to me, and they're like, "Oh my God, thank you so much for like sharing this with me." I'm gonna play just like 1 to 2 minutes of this, and then let's talk about it, because I think, and everyone who's listening, go listen to some Alan Watts. If you're going through a challenging time right now, and you feel like you don't have any control, go watch this, because every single obstacle, challenge, and I've been hit with some big life circumstances that I have to navigate and make big changes in order to conquer and to beat. I've been able to handle with a tremendous amount of Zen. Like, needing to make more money to make up for some lost income that happened elsewhere in my life. And to go back to that bear video, is like, that pressure, I was at first really, really excited about it. Like, really excited about it. I was like, this is going to be really hard. Let's fucking go. It's game day, you know? And I'm excited for the things that are going to happen as a result of figuring out this next challenge. But if it wasn't for Alan Watts and going through some of his videos, I probably would have crumbled. And, you know, my fiance Jenna would have had to like scrape me up off the floor and pick me up again, as she's done 100 times when going through like a high stakes, high pressure situation. And so check this out. I want to hear what you think about it.
You see, most people live under the illusion that life is something they must conquer, that they must struggle against the currents of uncertainties, striving endlessly to control outcomes, manipulate circumstances, and force their desires into reality. But what if you stopped? What if, instead of bracing yourself against the chaos, you leaned into the rhythm of the universe with a quiet, unwavering trust that everything, yes, everything, always works out for you? A curious thing, this idea, to act as if the game is rigged in your favor. Not arrogantly, not with entitlement, but with the serenity of someone who knows that they are part of something far more intelligent than their own plans. Imagine moving through your days with the unshakable belief that life is not a series of random misfortunes or haphazard victories, but a perfectly orchestrated dance, in which every misstep, Every delay, every so-called failure is simply a clever turn in the choreography. Not an error, but an invitation to see things differently. The problem is, we have become so accustomed to fear and resistance that we treat uncertainty like a threat rather than an adventure.
It's pretty good timing. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, it's simple. It's really true. Like thinking about the tough times and how it allows other opportunities. Like honestly, one of the things that sucks the most within the practice right now is like whenever we lose, if we lose like a PT, like it sucks. Like it's really hard to hire, stuff like that. But I've lost a PT that I thought like he was doing okay, kind of like middle of the road, maybe slightly below underperforming, but he was solid. And I didn't want to lose him, but he turned in his 4 weeks that he was moving on, and it sucked. I was like, shoot, how are we gonna like find somebody like we're whatever. It just sucked. Like we knew that was gonna take a revenue hit. But if we're also at the same point that we didn't have enough lead volume to be able to hire on another person before he quit. We just weren't be able to hire on another person. So like even if a rock star came along, we wouldn't be able to hire them because we didn't have volume to do it. We'd have to, just wouldn't work. Well, this person quit. I was devastated. Then like a few months later, this perfect, awesome fit stepped in and applied, and we were able to hire them what we otherwise wouldn't have been able to if this person didn't quit. Right. But in the moment it sucked, but I couldn't see the bigger things that were in the works that actually made this work out even better.
Right.
But in the moment, you just can't see that sometimes.
Right. We had the exact same situation when our CSD, client success director, left the company. Rocked me. That was one of the lowest moments of my life because I thought that I failed. I couldn't keep this person who ultimately was like a really toxic person for the team. Like I almost fired them 100 times, but I loved them, honestly. But then them leaving, although it was a huge hurdle, we had to figure out how to handle all these extra clients. It got me, I had to stop all the projects I was working on and get back into like fulfillment. And it was a huge setback. But as a result, way better systems. We got way better client success staff as a result that got my time back. And now the company's in a better spot than it ever has been. And the problem is that, we can't see how the things that are happening to us are actually getting us to where we want to go until after they've already happened. But after the fact, we start to realize like the horrible things that happened to us when we're kids, in our adult life, in our relationships, in business. We start to see in hindsight, it's like, oh my God, if it weren't for this other thing wouldn't have happened. And we start to make sense of all these bad things, and we start to be grateful for some of those traumatic things that may have happened to us in our lives. But we forget in our day-to-day lives, like when these bad things are happening, when this pressure is happening, we think the world's crumbling around us. But if we can remember other times where that happened in our lives, that was usually the catalyst that created the change or a new opportunity in your life that made your life way better and brought you to being who you are right now. And so I urge everyone to remember, like, if you're going through a hard time, you might not know what the other side of it looks like. And that might feel really, really scary. But in a year, 2 years, 3 years, maybe even just a month, you're going to realize that this is something that is happening for you, not to you. And you just need to be patient and sit in it and get comfortable with it, within it, so that you can build up the resilience and the confidence that you can endure and get through. Because after you get through enough of those times, you find out that it always leads you somewhere better if you endure, if you push through, if you don't give up. And that's what gives you the confidence and where people, like, when you walk in the room, people are like, yeah, that guy's going to win. Ben and I have that. We haven't always had that because we failed and fell on our faces and got back up enough times where every time we thought everything was about to fail, it didn't. And now it's hard to even imagine some sort of hardship or something for us to go through that would ever get us to stop. And now we're not afraid of anything because the universe has thrown a lot at us and we're still here. And we're not certain in what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but we know damn well that we're going to be able to manage it and get through it.
and I also want to really tie a bow on this too, to kind of blow a lot of this podcast up, is perspective. Are you actually going through a really tough time? There's an interview that it was post game, Kobe Bryant. He hit a game winner, and they interviewed him like, "Did you feel the pressure? In the moment?" He's like, "It's basketball. What is real pressure is being able, the single mom that has, be able to have to put food on the table. That's pressure. Me shooting a basketball into hoop for a game winner, in relation, that's not really pressure, right?" So ask yourself too, if like you're really struggling within your practice, like starting to grow your practice. Yeah, that's a struggle, but worst case scenario, it doesn't work out. You can go and to get $100,000 paying job
Right.
as a PT, right?
The stakes aren't that
Are you
high.
really right? Are you really experiencing the pressure that you're actually putting at yourself on? So it always goes back to perspective on, yeah, you definitely 100% could be going through a tough time, but also like think about, is this actually truly pressure? And also, am I grateful for the pressure that I have too, right? For example, right now I'm having pressure because looking at a property that's a little bit more, biting off a little bit more than I can chew with regards to the investment and stuff like that. And there's pressure to it, right?
Right.
But I'm also grateful that I even have this opportunity to buy this property.
Mm,
Like 5 years ago, like I'd be ecstatic that I even have the option to do it,
right.
right? So it's also just like perspective. Like, is this honestly pressure that you're actually feeling, or is it like a pity party that you're telling yourself that you're feeling pressure?
Yeah, I love that. I think that's such a good reframe because things aren't as dire as we think they are. I've been forced over the last like 2 years multiple times to think like, if this doesn't work out, what am I going to do? What are these other opportunities? It's like, if this doesn't happen, like, who am I? And I had to work through those challenges. And, I did figure that out. And it made me realize that it's like, okay, if so much of my identity is tied up in business, that's a problem. And I need to build up other areas of my life, relationships, my family, and disconnect who I am, my identity, with the business. Because if your business is your identity, the stakes feel so much higher than they actually are. So you got to rewire that and realize that it's like, okay, if your business shut down today, are you really in that bad of a position? Are you really the type of person that would allow yourself to not find success another way? Probably not. And odds are, if it did shut down, you're going to find another way to win in a way that's going to better align with who you are. So it's like everything works out for you, and you have to adopt that mindset where, although this sucks, I'm going to win because of who I am as a person and my outlook on life. And if you can start to adopt that and train yourself starting today to think like that, it doesn't happen right away. It's hard. I'm not saying it's easy, but if you can get yourself to believe that everything does work out for you, given enough time and effort, you stop reacting and you start being more proactive, and you start being more hopeful, and you start being more excited to change because of who you are, not because of anything external to you. It's 100% an internal battle. And if you can win that battle every single day and just worry about today, not tomorrow, you're going to not only enjoy your life way more, but you're going to find a lot more success because of the energy and the presence that you command when you truly believe that no matter what happens, I'm going to win. Powerful stuff. So we'll end with this. I think the theme of this is that control is an illusion. We have no control in our lives. Absolutely none. We actually don't. And the more you try to control things, the less you're actually going to grow, because all growth comes from uncertainty and chaos. Growth and control are opposite forces. And so if you're not growing right now, it's because you're hanging on so tight to control and to certainty that you're not doing the things that are required to get you out of the current circumstances, because that's the unknown. And so change your relationship with it. Everything is happening for you. It might be hard, but my God, what kind of life would you live if everything was easy?
Mhm.
If you have comments on it, drop us comments. Hope this was valuable for some of you if you're going through a challenging leg. Make sure to like and subscribe to the podcast. If someone needs to hear this, share it with them. Appreciate you all listening, and tune in next week for another episode of the Cash Physical Therapy Headquarters podcast.